Hello and welcome to Sega News Bits Live. I'm Barry, and let's get right into it. It's all at the top of our minds. The worst news last week. Of course, I'm talking about Sega delisting classic games. What did you think I was going to say? So check this out. So Sega is going to be delisting classic games starting December 6th. And it kind of came out of the blue, but then again, it kind of didn't. So I wish I brought it up, actually, like the exact quote, but essentially my speculation on this is that Sega, they have some new people who joined the company, and they're very focused on building the brand. You can see that with the Yakuza TV series on Amazon. I mean, regardless of what you think about the quality, that show is meant to take something that's a video game that has it has a sizable audience, but it's still niche in the terms of entertainment, and they want to expand it. So they want to get into TV, they want to get into movies. And so what they are doing, my guess is that they are doing what they said they were going to do a while back, which was delisting games that receive like poor ratings or are of a quality that Sega deems like shit, basically. And another thing I'm speculating, which I really hope isn't the case, this would be very stupid of them, is that, as the years go on, people are going to be hearing about the new Jet Set Radio, the new Crazy Taxi, and they're going to go, I got to download that. And they'll jump on their console of choice, and they'll already see a Jet Set Radio or a Crazy Taxi, and they'll download it, and they'll be like, cool, move on. And I feel like, and I hope this isn't the case, that Sega's kind of clearing out the catalog that's out there so that it kind of not only drives up in like a need and an anticipation for these sequels, essentially, to these classic games, but also doesn't confuse people, doesn't eat into the potential profit. Like, there's a strong chance that someone would be like, I really want that new Crazy Taxi, but I just downloaded the original one. It's fine. I'm good. Moving on. I hope that's not the case, but here's the list. So first off, Steam, massive amounts of games are being delisted, and that's because, unlike consoles that has that Sega Genesis Classics collection, on Steam, each game is individually listed. So a lot of these are in that Sega Genesis Classic collection on console, but you can see buried in here some pretty big ones like Crazy Taxi, which I knew about this a while back, but my memory's a little foggy. I think this is the one with the music, with the original music. I could be wrong, but other platforms have it without. In fact, I think on iPad the music was original, like iOS, but on console it wasn't. So yeah, I hate to see Crazy Taxi go from platforms, even though it lacks that classic music, but it still has the classic gameplay. I think the biggest loss is going to be Nights into Dreams, which is in my opinion, fantastic port of the game. It has all these cool bonuses. It was part of that very short-lived Sega Heritage Collection, which came after the Dreamcast Collection. They put a little more love and effort into those games. Also, part of that is Jet Set Radio, which just breaks my heart to see that being delisted. It's a fantastic port. It's almost like, I guess it is like the de facto way of playing the original Jet Set Radio. It takes the soundtracks of both the European and American releases and kind of combines them and removes the tracks that I don't think were up to snuff in the Western releases. But it's a shame to see that go. There's also oddities like Sega Bass Fishing. I never knew why they ported that when the game requires, well, it doesn't require, but it kind of calls for that fishing rod controller. And then, again, breaks my heart to see Space Channel 5 Part 2 delisted. What a fantastic port of a game that really did not get a lot of play in the West. It didn't get a Dreamcast release in the West, so really you either got it in that 2-pack on PS2 or you waited years later until you got it on as part of this remaster. And then jumping ahead here, so let's now go to the Xbox ports that are coming out. Or coming out, I should say, going away. And so on Xbox, they are removing Altered Beast, which is it's the basic game, Crazy Taxi, Sega Genesis Classics, which includes all of those games, Golden Axe, which is kind of its own thing. Monster World, I'm not exactly sure which version of that is, but I did see that they are delisting the Sega Vintage Collection of Toe Jam and Earl, which to my memory is in Japan called Sega Ages, and it was like the third iteration of that sort of remaster line. It all gets very confusing. But essentially that's an M2 product. So I'm wondering if the Monster World one's going away. I really hope not, because that's a really fantastic Sega Vintage Collection release. And then you can see here Nights into Dreams, Sega Bass Fishing. Big one, Sonic the Fighter's going away. Like, that's such a great port. And Virtua Fighter 2 going away. Come on, like, people rely on these for fighting game competitions. There's communities built around these. And I know it's kind of a petty reason for not wanting these to go away, but when they delist them and you already own them, I mean, you've had enough time to download these, but still it sucks they're delisting them. From what I remember, they removed the cover art, because my copies of Afterburner Climax and I believe Outrun Online Arcade are both missing the cover art now. It looks very boring. So I don't know why they're doing this. I really hope it's not to like clean up the marketplace to avoid the brands being like either like ruined by bad review scores, or to avoid people getting confused about the new Jet Set Radio coming and they already see it on the marketplace. Like, that's absolutely stupid. I mean, fingers crossed that the main reason they're doing this is that they plan to re-release all of these. I really hope so, but I don't know. I mean, best case scenario is that we maybe get like a Dreamcast collection, a Saturn collection, and I'm not talking about like one of those little mini consoles where they're behind me there, but like like maybe a digital hub that you can then download the games through, something like that. But still, it's really disappointing. Is this a disappointment? I don't know. Endless and Humankind developer Amplitude Studios is breaking from Sega. They're returning to being independent. And a little peek behind the scenes, like when we receive information from Sega about upcoming games, they're good about it, but they're not that great about giving us information on the real-time strategy stuff coming out of Europe. And I think because there's a disconnect from the social media team in Europe and the social media team in America, and it's no fault. I mean, it's slightly a fault of our own, the fact that we are not newsing every single time like Amplitude or one of their like Creative Assembly are releasing something. Like, I know for sure we've not newsed some of the Total War games. We've probably completely forgotten that a Football Manager is coming out, but they don't really push us. Like, they don't send us anything often. Like, we kind of have to like keep up on the European real-time strategy thing. So the good news is Amplitude is going independent. There's a quote here from the studio exec. I guess I'll read it. "Our studio is backed by strong and meaningful franchises, and our team is committed to creating the best games possible with our extensive experiences in strategy game development and 2 exciting titles currently in progress. We are confident in our ability to deliver outstanding experience to players. This decision allows us to be more agile in our approach while continuing to shape the vision that has been ours from the very beginning, empowering us to push boundaries and be closer than as ever of our community. While we are going to our separate ways now, we part on good terms with our friends at Sega and wish them all the best in their future projects." And Amplitude is joining Relic Entertainment, which also split from Sega. I think they had a messier post-split. There was quite a few layoffs. But you might remember Amplitude did a freebie back in, I don't know, back when, for the 60th anniversary of Sega, where they made a fantasy zone. So that was kind of cool. It's actually the only game of theirs I've actually played. So, some good news, though. A Virtua Fighter game is in development, according to Executive Vice President and Head of Global Transmedia Group, Sega, Justin Scarpone, who I think was in the finale of The Penguin over the weekend. You know, hey, Scarpone, what you doing? You're delisting games? You bringing back Virtua Fighter? You know, Vic. But yeah, so that's cool that we're going to be getting a new Virtua Fighter, and it's been, you know, if you frequent Sega fan like message boards and discords, or even if you are doing the occasional like what do they call those things, surveys from Sega, they talk a lot about Virtua Fighter recently. So yes, something is coming, and you know, I'm excited for that, though I'm not excited about them delisting games, so it's kind of a double-edged sword there. What will it be, though? Is it going to be a new numbered sequel? Is it going to be a like maybe, I don't know, like a reboot? I really hope it's not a reboot. I feel like Virtua Fighter is not too story heavy, that you can just have a new game come out, have a very light story behind the scenes there, and, you know, move on. I also wanted to talk about some new hardware coming out from Sega, and I don't think I've newsed this stuff yet on segabits.com. I don't know why I haven't, but they haven't released yet, so there's still a month. And I've seen news stories covering these, and they're like, unfortunately, it's not the Dreamcast 2. And it's like, well, obviously it's not going to be the Dreamcast 2. But it is cool that Sega's, well, it was called Sega Toys, and then they merged them with the arcade unit development team, and now they are called Sega Fave, which is a stupid name. But Sega Fave is what they name themselves. And so the first thing that they are going to be releasing is a new Pico. And so let's watch the trailer for that. I'll turn the volume down just in case they want to blast me with a takedown notice. But let's check that out. Mommy. So what ePico is going to be essentially is it's going to be a brand new Sega Pico. You can see it has some of the elements there. It folds open. This time it's flat like a book. There's no, it doesn't stand up, but it still has the stylus. And it's going to be very web-based from what I gather. And it treats the stylus more like a Wiimote almost. It does all these sorts of different things, and then parents can interact on their phone, which if you've bought Sega Pico games, I just paused it for a moment, old Sega Pico games, they come with like parent guides. And so it was like there was a parent guide, there was the software cartridge, and then there was the game. And this way it kind of removes the need for like a physical parent guide, and instead it seems like the parents can be in another room or in another state or something, and their kids will be playing Pico and they'll be able to see what they're up to. And similar things exist for like Amazon Kids. You can limit, you know, usage and things like that. But let's check this again. Like, look at that. Look at that. So let's see the little train boy. Look at him. So he's using the Pico stylus as like a little train controller. And if you're like a Pico head like I am, I'm a huge Pico head, they had like a train attachment. They had so many weird things. They turned your whole Pico, like you bought all this plastic shit and like snapped it onto it, and it looked like a cooking set. And you could be like on an episode of The Bear where they're like, 10 minutes, chef! You know, that sort of shit. The only one I bought was the fishing controller, which they made for Pico with the Donald Duck game, and that's a lot of fun. So I think this is really cool. It's a very innovative way to bring the Pico back. And you can see, like, look at this. You can tap stuff. It turns into a that's so cool. And a flute. I just want to see the flute. Oh man, it's fantastic. And that's right, Sega Driven in the chat points out it still has the storybook. So it has a lot of elements that we remember, but it also has like a DDR mat. Look at that! It's Shinobi! This is very exciting to me. Look at that. Pico. Look at those games. And it's so funny because these titles like these existed on the original Pico. They had whoever, I forgot that guy's name, but he's on the original Pico. Disney Princess games are on the Pico, so I'm actually very excited for the ePico. I will get one. I forgot how much they're going for. They're like 130 something or other, but Amazon Japan has like a launch edition version that comes with extra stuff. I don't know, like my only concern about it is it doesn't seem very import friendly. Like it seems like I have kids, and they like the original Pico, but this one there might be a language barrier. But just taking a quick look at the website here, you can see, look at this guy. I mean, how could you not like that? It has some information here about the ePico, but look at that. Pac-Man's talking into the pen, or he's like yelling at it. They have the DDR pad there, you can see. The stylus, all the different things you can do with it. The book. And I really love all these little, like, you can use it as a magnifying glass. You can do sumo wrestling. You can fish. Look, fishing's back on the menu. You can even, be a doctor or cook with it. So, yeah, it's definitely turning it more into a, I don't know, like a role-playing thing almost. But it seems like the books don't even snap into place. You just set them down and open them, which is really cool. And I've seen that technology with VTech. In fact, in America, we've had that for a very long time. You just put a stylus sheet down on a pad, and it functions just like a Pico, but it doesn't need. From what I gather, it doesn't have the different pages that cover up certain sensors to tell it what page it's on. It's a little more complex in how it tells it what page you're turning it to. So, definitely expect an update in terms of the technology. But yeah, ePico's coming out. I'm going to be in Japan in April of next year, and I'm going to be on the lookout for ePico because I just think that's really exciting. Another thing coming out in December is the Emo Jam. So let's check that one out. Emo Jam. So this is me and my best friend here. So what the Emo Jam is it is a pager for kids where they can only speak via emoji. And if you are concerned about like strangers sending your kids like, I don't know, like poop emojis, thankfully the only way that you can add a new friend to send things to is by physically meeting them first and putting them back to back, or like this, like VMUs. Look at that. And from what I also gather, upgrade packs that you buy add more emojis to your machine. So they're going to have stuff like ghosts, Hello Kitty. They're also going to have add-ons like little keychains and things that make it look like an ice cream pop. There's these monster characters and little games, stuff like that. So it's very cute. And from what I could tell, they go for about $47 a piece. And then for about $10-20 you can get a lanyard. You can get a thing that you can snap it into, a little protector case that makes it look like an old cell phone or an ice cream pop. And here's the emoji packs. Ghost one's my favorite. I think I'll get Ghost. Oh. And I'm talking about it like I'm going to get one, but I feel like I should. They're just so cute. Look at that. Like, I got to get the blue one. I got to pop it into the little ice cream thing or the cell phone thing. And so, yeah, looking at their website here, or I should say the press release, it's called Emo Jam. It's not heavily Sega branded. You're not going to see like a Sega startup screen. You're not going to see Sonic the Hedgehog emoji packs, at least not from out of the gate. But yeah, there's two colors. There's the kind of boyish blue and the girlish red, but it doesn't matter. You can be a boy and get the pinkish red, whatever, but I'm pretty sure that's what they're going for here. They have the lanyards. They have the cases that look like ice cream and cell phones. And yeah, I mean, $47 for one of these. And I do appreciate that you have to be physically in the same place as someone to initially connect them as your like Emo Jam buddy. And then after that, it's all over Wi-Fi. So you, I presume, could be cross-country and just like send your friends little emojis. And I know of a few people within the Sega fan community who are going to be getting these. I think fan events, like there was that Sonic event just this past weekend. I held a arcade meetup at the Galloping Ghost Arcade a few weeks ago, and I feel like those sorts of events would be great opportunities for people to like bring these, and then we can maybe have a community of Sega people in the West who are all connected. Like, imagine how exciting it would be to like meet someone from Europe or from a part of Japan, and then like Emo Jam, like connect with them, and then from then on you're Emo Jam buddies. Yeah, so I think the theme of this Sega News Bits Live is Sega giveth and Sega taketh awayeth. I think it is a real shame that they're delisting these games that have been up for over a decade, especially Jet Set Radio and Nights into Dreams. Those are fantastic ports. It's just a real shame they're going away. I have mixed emotions on the Sega Europe kind of moving away from being a real-time strategy powerhouse. They still have Creative Assembly. They still have... Oh, I'm blanking. They have another team. But yeah, the fact that Relic and Amplitude are now off on their own is kind of a shame. New Virtua Fighter is very exciting. I kind of think it's a drag that we are coming up on a year from that New Energy, New Era thing that they announced with the comeback of Jet Set Radio, Golden Axe, Shinobi, and Crazy Taxi, and we've had no news. They haven't even told us who the developer is for any of them, even though we know who the developer is. That's right. In the chat here, we have Sega Hardlight, our UK-based too. But yeah, I'm really hoping that we start to get some more news out of there. And yeah, and I think the new hardware is kind of exciting. I really like that we have the ePico coming out. And I'm going to just check Amazon Japan right now for the ePico, because I want to see how much it's going for. I got to do an arc. I have to do like a security. Let's see if it'll let me log in. All right, ePico, so 27,000 yen. Converted, it's 175, but I think this is the big Amazon version. So I'm just trying to see if it's, just don't want it to be showing any personal data. Here we go. So yeah, there it is on Amazon Japan. There's the Japanese version. And then I think, let's see, 2,700. This is the software. This is another piece of software. And I'm not sure what this... Oh, I guess that's the same thing. So, yeah, Amazon Japan version. It comes with an exclusive something. From what I remember, it's nothing too exciting. But yeah, interesting. So yeah, good and bad. But at least in the world of Sega, things aren't too terrible. um, I will tell people, if you want to follow Sega Bits, you can check us out. We are on Instagram, we are on Facebook, and Instagram kind of just cross posts to Facebook mostly. You're going to get a lot of like memes there, images, concept art, stuff like that. It's really, we haven't been doing cross posting of news articles to those just because the plugins are kind of and also the audience in Instagram and Facebook are more about like images and stuff. If you want to follow us on other social media, we are on Twitter, but I personally don't use Twitter anymore. But I do use it to DM people for professional reasons, and I do use it for cross-posting Sega news articles, and we are on Blue Sky. When I announced that we were, within like a day, we got like 300 new followers, which is fantastic. So check us out on Blue Sky. I believe I put the link in the description because I want to grow the follower base there. I feel less scuzzy, like just like shit posting on Blue Sky, whereas on Twitter, it lost the fun. It's not fun anymore. It's shit. It's shitter. So that's where we are. What else? Oh, I put up my Christmas tree. There are new Sega ornaments this year. There is. Let's do an impromptu visit to Hallmark.com before we close out, because I do want to show this. There are Sonic the Hedgehog ornaments for this year. So let's go over. So check this out. They have some new ornaments coming out. Not as exciting as previous years. So previous years, they were doing these really cool classic ornaments. They've done Eggman. They've done Sonic and Knuckles. No, they've done Tails carrying Sonic, Knuckles gliding. And now they're kind of moving into the modern era. So they're sort of like deluxe ornament is this light and sound one, but it's not your typical Sonic ornament. It's like almost $50. It's pretty chunky. I don't have it yet, but it's music. It has music. It's animated. I personally prefer when they were doing Sega consoles. They did a Sega Genesis and Sega Dreamcast. They also have this Sonic the Hedgehog Santa ornament, which is all right. I'm not a huge fan of the pose. I kind of prefer the one where he's kind of like jumping with the bag behind his back, like in the classic Sonic the Screensaver artwork. And I wish it was classic. I don't know. I just think this one's kind of bland. It's almost like a DreamWorks poster or something. I don't know. And then from past years, they've done these budget ones. So they're $10 each. I have these ones on the tree behind me. The game cartridge is new. I've seen that one at places like Walmart and at drugstores. Knuckles is new as well this year, a modern Knuckles to go along with Sonic, Tails, and Shadow. No Amy yet, but they do have these real weird, like, these are magnetic. I don't know what's magnetic about them, like if they hold hands or something like that. But I'm pretty sure these ones do, like either their heads are magnetic or something. And they've had ones in the past too called like Itty Bitties of Sonic and Tails, and I did not get the Knuckles or the Super Sonic, but I do have the Sonic and Tails sitting over there. And then this one's a little weird, this metal one. They have already got this perpetual calendar where Sonic, again, a weird pose. He's like, the fuck out of here. I don't know what he's doing. He's pointing down. The pizza cutter is great. And I will say, like, if you were to get any of the things here that I'm showing and you haven't gotten any of them yet, this one's probably my favorite, the Genesis console. And yeah, and then the gift set. Oh, there's the Itty Bitty. See, isn't that weird? He looks a little odd. Yeah, so Hallmark, check them out. It's a little independent store called Hallmark. I think they need your assistance. They need you to buy their stuff. So check them out. I think they're on Etsy. No, they're actually a major multi-corporation, whatever. So that's Sega News Bits Live. Happy Veterans Day to those who celebrate. And, I mean, we're all veterans of the console wars, but that's kind of stolen valor. So let's not get into that. But we'll see you next time. We have a new Sega talk coming this week, and we're going to be talking about Sega accessories, I think. I have to do the notes for it still. And yeah, so hoping to do more Sega News Bits lives like this. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next time, and keep I'll think up of a cool outro slogan, but yeah, like and subscribe. All right, later.